Let me make a little introduction of myself. I am Father Jojo Buenafe. My full name is Joselito because I was born May 1st, the feast of Saint Joseph the Worker. In our family, if you're born on that particular date and there's a feast of a saint, that will be your name. That's why my uncles are named Toribio, Brigido, and so on and so forth, because it falls on that particular feast day. So that's why. I'm from the Archdiocese of Manila. My bishop is Cardinal Advincula. Currently, I am assigned in San Carlos Seminary as Vice Rector slash Procurator slash in charge of their food, their electricity, their water, utilities, and the staff. We have different functions in the seminary. The rest are taking care of formation. I take care of how they will live, okay? How they will survive the day. Other than that, I am your spiritual advisor and also administrator of TV Maria. And if ever you hear of the Catholic Mass Media Awards, I've been doing that in Manila, in the Philippines, for 18 years now. I'm also in charge of the deacons of the Archdiocese of Manila. And what else? I teach in the seminary. Okay, so much to do. No wonder we don't have our own family because we cater to this bigger family, the church, no? That's the reason why we don't get married because we're not stuck in one place, no? We have to move around and do mission. It's my first time here in New Zealand, and so far so good. It's so beautiful. I appreciate the quality of life. I appreciate the beauty of nature and the simplicity of life, no? And indeed, such a beautiful blessing. Okay? So, I am with Brother Jojo, Sister Jem, and Brother Lachi. Okay? Brother Frank and Sister Jerry went ahead in Manila, in Manila. Okay, so for today, schedule would be I will be giving 3 talks. One in the morning, next would be a little break, and then second talk afterwards. Then we'll take lunch, and then third talk, and then an activity, and then the Eucharist. The Mass will already be a Sunday Mass. So that's my gift to you. That's why I said the Mass will not be in the morning. We shall do it in the evening. And the earliest that we could do a Sunday Mass is 4 p.m. Okay, that's the earliest. So we will do it at 4. Okay? So tomorrow, you'll say, thank you, Lord, because you'll be able to sleep longer. Okay? And you have fulfilled our obligation of going to Sunday Mass. But more than an obligation, it's not really an obligation, but really our way of going back to God, giving thanks, glorifying Him, acknowledging the many blessings we have received. Okay? So are you ready? Yes. Can you tell, I am blessed, I am here. I am blessed, I am here. It is good to be here. It is good. And you look at each other and tell your seatmates, I am blessed, you are here. Truly, we are a blessing to each other. Amen. So let's dispose ourselves to receive the Word of God. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, O Lord. When Judas had left them, Jesus said, Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and God will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. I give you a new commandment. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you also should love one another. This is how all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. The Gospel of the Lord. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful morning, and we offer you this day, our day of learning, our day of sitting at your foot. Open our hearts so that we may receive you, we may receive the word, your message, and let your word be a light on my path. All this we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. Again, good morning. The topic that was given to me is this: discerning God's will, growing together in faith and fellowship. It is loaded with many beautiful words: discernment, God's will, growing together, faith in faith, and fellowship. In fact, if you will try to see, these are the key words that we need to imbibe so that we will always be reminded of who we are as missionary families of Christ. And that we need to be discerning. Discerning. But in discernment, sometimes we discern, sometimes we do not. But in discernment, you don't only discern the will of God, but you need to discern also. What we're given is how to discern Satan, how to discern the works of the devil, how to discern the counter spirit. Yup. And I was like, oh, bit ganito. I thought it's discerning the Spirit of God. But true. If we are discerning the will of God, then we also have to be vigilant, because there is another force that's so ready to take us away from God. It's like you want to go to God, and you think the devil will just say, well, if you want to go to God, then as you please, go. Never. He will be at work, and he will do it double time, and he will bring a legion to what? To tempt you, to pull you down. Yeah, it's not like you want to go to God, so be it. No, the devil will find ways and will hit you in your weakest. Right? Just like coming today, you've been discerning, should we go or should we not go? No, if we will not go, then we will take rest, have time more with family. We can go and attend to our chores. There's so much valid reasons why you need not go. But discerning the will of God, it's not every time that we get a speaker from another country, from Manila, from the mothership. And now that he is here, it will be an opportunity to listen, to grow, to bond. Okay, so you try to weigh. You try to weigh, and you've been discerning that. Shall we attend or shall we just rest? Shall we attend and make an excuse, or shall we just, yeah. And now that you're here, ibig sabihin nagtagumpay. And you were able to discern. I thank God that you are here. It's never a wasted time, but a time to grow, a time to be open, a time to be nourished. To be nourished. Retreats, recollections, it's a time to be nourished and to sit at the foot of the Master to be able to learn. So this is an invitation to discern. We will discern the will of God. And in that discernment, we have to include that we are not just discerning alone, but as a church, accompanied by brothers and sisters, discerning the will of God, not like an individual pursuit, but that recognizing I belong to a church, and therefore, I should also have the heart and mind of the church. So going beyond the self and then discerning as a whole body, as a church, and growing together in faith and in fellowship. That's how it is to grow in faith. Great, you grow through fellowship. It's not like, well, me and my God, we're okay, we're good. It doesn't end there. Your relationship with God should bear fruit. And the fruit of that is fellowship. Fellowship with your brothers and sisters. You are mindful now, and you would have a heart for the other. That is why if you say, we're good, me and my God, and if you declare that, then you are also opening yourself, I will also be good with the rest, with my brothers and sisters. And the fruit, fellowship. So this morning, I invite you to take particularly on the lives of a couple. Since you are couple, no? Wives, husbands, let us get something, a role model in the Bible, and we will be accompanied by the lives of Elizabeth and Zechariah. Elizabeth and Zechariah. What can we learn from their lives? Yeah. So, I'll say this particular, just a short story in Tagalog. Okay. So, how do you call the marriage of age natin, generation natin ni Aga Mulak at ni, sinong asawa ni Aga Mulak? Charlene Gonzalez. Marriage made in heaven. Okay? Guwapo at maganda. Good-looking, gorgeous, and then a beautiful wife. Marriage made in heaven. Okay. Paano raw? Pagka yung babae, hindi naman kagandahan. Pero yung lalaki, kagwapo. Anong tawag daw doon? O di kaya naman, ganda ng babae. Pero si husband, wala naman. Walang naman itsura, kung itsura lang yung pag-uusapan. Ang harsh nyo naman. Ang tawag doon, love is blind. Paano pag parehong pangit? Anong tawag doon? Sinumpa. Di naman. Ang tawag doon, kapwa ko, mahal ko. Love your own. Okay? So maya-maya, pasimple, you will try to look at each other. Ano ba yung love natin? Love is blind. Mahal, kapwa ko, mahal ko. Love. Okay, so we talk about love. And then we will talk about true love. And I will present to you the story of a true love. The love of Zechariah and Elizabeth. And in their lives, we will see how a couple would discern God's will. How a couple tested with so much afflictions and be able to survive such challenge or temptation and would end up still praising the Lord, glorifying the Lord. That is why when I thought of you, naisip ko Elizabeth and Zechariah. And there are beautiful lessons we can learn from their life. The first lesson is, you have to realize that let your hopes, not your hurts, shape your life. Let your hopes, not your hurts, shape your life. Because of the basic premise, your dreams, they don't always come true. Your dreams, they don't always come true. There will be a time of Testing. Testing. How is life turning for Elizabeth and Zechariah? And we could identify how is our life turning too. No? How is our life moving on? Elizabeth and Zechariah, yes, they were betrothed to each other. Yes, sometimes in their time, they don't choose who will be their wife. It's pre-arranged. It's arranged. But they began to love each other. They knew each other. And that is why when they were like chosen for each other, they grow. They were married. And what would be the prayer of a newly married couple? Please, Lord, give us a child. Siguro, during the first years, it's very particular, give us a son. Because a son is very important to continue the lineage of the family. So please, Lord, grant us a son. Well, years are going and still they don't have a son. I guess they already opened up, Lord, give us a child. Whether it be a son or a daughter, we will wholeheartedly accept it. And they prayed constantly, but there's no son, neither a daughter coming. They remained childless until they discovered there's something wrong. It could be you or it could be me. Well, there's a way to know, and during that time, the fault falls on, I don't know how they proved it, but they discovered that Elizabeth is barren. Barren, and she could not beget a child. And during that time, in that time, you can return your wife. You can return your wife and get your dowry. Because when you get a wife, you give a dowry to the family, especially to the father. No? Well, it's a sad story, but it happened. It's something cultural. It's like you're going to buy. Okay? But it's not really buying, just to emphasize the value of a daughter. So you won't just take my daughter away because she's precious. We considered her treasure. That is why if you are to take her from us, from our family, then you ought to give the equivalent value. But of course, persons are what? You don't put a price, you don't put a tag, but just to emphasize the value. So you will give treasures, you will give your wealth, you will give what? A livestock, to be able to say that I am taking something precious from you. Right. So, with a barren wife, you can return her. You can return her and what? You get back your dowry. It's tolerated by law. And then you get another wife. In fact, they can get many wives. But what did Zechariah do? He did not return Elizabeth. She stayed with him. But it didn't happen in a very smooth way. Because the in-laws, the in-laws, like the mother-in-law. I don't know the reason why he keeps on loving you. You should be disposed. Dapat pinalitan ka na eh. Anong klaseng matres meron ka? Anong ginawa mo at pinarurusahan ka ng Diyos? What did you do? What sin did you commit? Because for them, it's a curse. It's a curse from God. You're barren because you were sinful. You're barren because you did something or your forefathers did something wrong. Violated the will of God, and that was the explanation. But we don't think of that anymore. Right? The in-laws were so critical of her. That is why her life became miserable. Life has a way of putting detours, roadblocks, immovable barriers in the path. And this is the story of Elizabeth, the life of a dashed dreams, dashed dreams. Elizabeth was a blessed woman. To begin with, she came from a honorable family, from the line of Aaron. No, she can trace her lineage from the line of Aaron. She's a daughter of a priest. No wonder she's married to another priest because of their influence and connection. She could trace her lineage back to Aaron. And who is Aaron? The first high priest of Israel. Meaning, she came from a prominent family. Hindi basta-basta. In fact, she bore the name of Aaron's wife, Elizabeth, which means God is my oath. God is my assurance. And she had married a respected priest, Zechariah. Everyone had predicted a long and beautiful life with many children coming from this lovely couple. But sadly, real life hadn't turned out as predicted. And instead of seeing her as blessed, the religious community saw Elizabeth's barrenness as a curse from God. How did she move on? I do believe she's been telling Zechariah, let me go. You choose a wife who could give you children. Let me go so that I can also live peacefully, away from your mother, away from your brothers and sisters, away from them. I'll go back home. And my family, they love me and they will accept me. And they will be my protector. I guess Elizabeth, she's been pleading for Zechariah to release him. But it's not the way, because what she did was, she's more of a proactive woman. Proactive, not reactive. Rather than having a pity party, Elizabeth chose to gain spiritual strength from her condition. She refused to allow her sorrow to drag her down. Instead, she reached out to grab God's hand to be strengthened. Elizabeth is teaching us how to cope up with discouragement, disappointment, adversity, dashed dreams. The lessons of Elizabeth, whose name is God is my oath, that no matter what your situation, she is telling us, look to God for strength each day. Look to God for strength each day. A woman after God's own heart. She does not look at her day's problems, but she looks at the power of her God to assist her with her problems. And what else? What is her motivation now to move on? Look, my husband, he did not disown me. He did not return me. He loved me with the true essence of love. And what is the true essence of love? You know, in terms of loving, love is never self-seeking. Love is not like, well, I want her. Why? Tingnan mo naman, ang laki ng balakang. Marami kong anak dyan. Look, when choosing a wife, when choosing a husband, what are your criteria? What are your conditions? Well, definitely, I would look for a professional, someone with a title, either an architect, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer. Why? Security. Security. I have to be secured. Is that your number one? Well, others would say, my life would be beautiful. Look, she cooks well, iron clothes well, wash clothes well. Looking at her, she's so neat. She must be also good with household chores. So, asawa ba talaga hinanap mo katulong? To be secured, to have another mother, because you're secured with your mom provides for everything, cleans everything, cooks everything, no, does everything for you. And when you're trying to look for a wife, I should find one like my mother who will take good care of me and my children. I don't say it's bad, but the true essence of love is never self-seeking. You don't like choose a partner, a wife, a husband simply because of what you can get from him, from her. Because true love is giving the best to the beloved. You give the best to the beloved. The motivation is to get out of the self so that I can give the best, provide the best, be the best, because she deserves the best. He deserves the best. It's never self-seeking. It's going out of the self. It's filling the other, giving the other, completing the other. That's the essence of love. And look at how God loves us. What can He get from us? Nothing. Nothing. Do you think that we can add to God? We cannot. He is complete. He is enough. God is enough. He doesn't need worshipers, neither would He be needing servants. No. But that He created us out of love because He wants to share His life. He wants to give life. We cannot do anything to God. In fact, we gave Him what? Something to hurt Him. You know that no matter what we do, we cannot hurt God. But who can hurt Him most? Oh, let me rephrase that. The devil cannot in any way hurt God. Because the devil, he doesn't have power with God. So, the devil will hit us because if the devil attacks us and it will bring us to destruction, that can hurt God. We can hurt God. And the devil attack us because it's his way to hurt God. Because directly, he cannot in any way hurt God. And thus, when creating us, we are the witness of God. But of course, that's metaphorical because God doesn't have a weakness. But should we say a soft spot? So He is hurt through us. Yeah. So yes, talking about love, talking about the genuineness of love, it's never self-seeking, but that when you love, the movement is going outward because you want to give the best to the beloved. And that's what Elizabeth saw in her condition. My husband did not give up on me. He continued to love me and cherish me. He is fighting for me against his family. And no, what she did is to support, is to become what? She is empowered by the love of Zechariah, and that gives her the reason to move on, the reason to be proactive, the reason to not end up self-pitying, but fighting, moving, and to be the best of who she can be for Zechariah. Not for herself, but for Zechariah. Elizabeth teaches us
that we can rise above bad circumstances. We can rise above bad circumstances. The stigma of barrenness had to weigh heavily on her, and this burden could affect her personality and attitude. It would have been easy for her to sink into depression, despair, and discouragement, but Elizabeth did not. She sought to live a pure life according to the law of God, to be that blameless wife, to soar in the joy of the Lord in spite of her situation. Yes. Elizabeth's life, how did she respond with adversity? She became more of a positive thinker. Only God could produce contentment and peace in her life circumstances. That is why when your strength is waning, when there is discouragement, when you sense sadness or despair creeping into your soul, go to God. Go to God at once. Because God can give you that abundant strength to face discouragement, to face the adversities day by day. Look at what Elizabeth and Zechariah did. They were blameless, they were righteous, they were good, and yet they were given this a curse, something to live, and how not in a peaceful way, but given that, they didn't turn their back to God. They didn't and from now on, I'll never go to church again. From now on, I'll never pray. Or I'll change my religion. They didn't give God that silent treatment that we usually do. But they became what? Completely what? Obedient. All the more, they go to God. All the more, they brought themselves to God as a couple, never leaving each other. That is why that's through thick and thin, for better, for worse. And here we see that they can live. It's possible to grow spiritually. It's possible to grow spiritually as a couple. Elizabeth endured many years of scornship from her community, and how she could have weathered that ridiculousness, it's because they have a strong relationship. Yeah, talagang yun buo ang pagmamahal nila sa isa't isa. She didn't succumb to jealousy or lash out or retaliate, trying to defend herself in front of many people, or spend hours of thinking of ways to get even with them, with their tormentors. She didn't blame Zechariah. She didn't blame God. She walked uprightly, walking blameless. Elizabeth spent hours in prayer, drawing her strength from God. And look at the spirituality they developed. They lived closer to God. And what is the fruit? They were barren, considered childless. But they did not live a childless life. They realized they cannot beget their own. They did not end up sour graping, wala kaming anak. But that they exerted all efforts, trying to be productive, trying to discover the will of God. And what is the will of God? They became parents. Parents to whom? To their nephews and nieces, particularly Mary. Well, it was said in the tradition that Mary was orphaned at an early age. And afterwards, Elizabeth, she became the second mother of Mary. They were childless, but they did not live a childless life. Because they became a father and a mother to those in need of parents. And that's how they discovered their mission. And that's how they discovered the will of God. And that's how they discerned the plan of God for them. They weren't like, we were forgotten. God played favorites. We're not favorite of God. That is why He cursed us. No, but that given that dark side, they know how to see the light, the dawn of light, and they realize the purpose of their life. God made it so that we can be more available for others. Childless, but not childless life. They were productive. And so what is the invitation for us? We are in a situation wherein we can be discouraged, disappointed, because we see what is lacking. Lacking. But what is the attitude of Jesus for us? You know, going back to the multiplication of the loaves, when they were like asking, Jesus was asking, oh, I'm done with feeding them with the word. Now we have to take care of their physical needs. Because that's how God looks at us. How God nourishes us. He knows that we can get hungry too. And that is why He is there to provide. Because He knows the integrality of our needs. Spiritual and physical, material. That is why He said, let's feed them. And you yourselves try to find ways to feed them. But the immediate reaction of the disciples were to see what is lacking. We don't have much. We don't have food. How can we feed these thousands of people? We got nothing. And that's our problem. When we develop that dismissive attitude, always looking at what is lacking. Because we dismiss the grace. We dismiss the gift. We see 5 loaves, 2 fish. It's worth nothing. But Jesus did not see those 5 loaves and 2 fish as nothing, but that He acknowledged, give it to me. Because when you give it to Him, the 5 loaves and 2 fish, He can make a miracle out of it. What He needs is for someone to see small, big, small, everything is grace. And when you see everything is grace, the attitude should always be gratitude. You be grateful. You be thankful. You have something. You were gifted. You were graced. That's not nothing. And with that, they were able to feed a multitude. Yes, it is a miracle. Indeed, a miracle. And God is telling us it can also happen to you. But that you have to shift. Because the tendency for us is to look at what is lacking. No. You can never be happy with that. Happiness, palagi kong sinasabi, it's not in having what you want. Because it's endless. But that happiness is in wanting what you have. Wanting what you have. Happiness is not in having what you want, but that in wanting what you have. Yeah. Kunwari, we try to see each other. Yan na yan ni. Hanap ka pa ba ng Richard Gomez, tall, dark, and handsome? Yan na yan ni. Gustuhin mo na kung anong meron ka. Gagawa ko rin yan sa paningin mo. Pero yun eh. When we want what we have, then we will be contented. And when there's contentment, then there will be genuine happiness. The reason why we can't be happy is that we don't know how to be contented. We don't know how to be contented. The world will dictate you are not complete without this. So you ought to have one. Like how many times did you change your cell phone? Okay? Well, another cell phone will come brand new with a different spec, and what? You will already consider what you have as Jurassic, outdated, unfashionable. Yeah? Because they will judge me by the phone that I carry. Yeah? If they see that this phone is, wow, Purita, wow, mayaman, may masasabi. Yun eh. When we allow the world to dictate, when we are so conscious of brands, when we are so conscious of what others will say, when we are more conscious of those things, then we can't be happy. We can't be happy. You know, the past week that I am here, no, yung mga unang pasyalan namin, mga malls, no, I'm fascinated. You know, it's bargain. There's a perpetual sale ongoing. You know, and we'll be crossing one mall going to another, and wala na to. You know, and then, you look for a shoes. Ganda, no? Kailangan ko ba to? Kailangan mo yan, magkakanino ka. But the reality, ang dami kong sapatos. Pero there's something in you. You need that. Same to, no? Just like what Brother Frank said, no? Nakasave ka, no? Pero alam mo ba, mas makakasave ka kung hindi ka bumili. Okay? Kaya nung nakabit ko, Brother Frank, nakasave kami. Nakasave kami, no? Well, temptation, yeah? Yeah, wow, 50%. It's such a big saving, wow! But you realize when you don't buy, there's more savings. But then the mindset, nakatipid tayo, 1,000 po, 500 na lang. Right? But there's more saving if you don't buy it. Okay? Well, yes. Contentment. And contentment is when you want what you have. When you want what you have. But the problem with us is we don't recognize the value unless it's taken away from us. Unless it's gone. That's the big problem. Look at a ball pen. A ball pen is what? Insignificant. But when you need one, oh my, it's like you're looking for a fine pearl. Hinahanap-hanap mo, nasa na ba yung busy na ball pen na yan? Nasa na ba yung busy na charming yan? You can't find it. And you only recognize it when you need it. And that's bad. When we see the value of something or someone, when we need that someone or something. That is why in a community, it happens. Sino ba yun? It's nameless. And you don't bother ask the name. But when are you going to ask? When you're in need. Yeah, I need something from this particular sector, from the government. Oh, I know of a member. She works in that field, in that sector. And then here you are trying to research and find, sino nga ba yun? Because she has a value. She has a use for you. That's why you're seeking for the name user. That's using people, utilizing people. They have value because they can give me something. They can help me. But we should not get that attitude. Yeah, that's why it's good that you have your ID so that you can be more familiar with names. But I hope it's not just with names. You are in a community and you ought to know each other deeper. Establish a better relationship and consider this as a family. And that when you are here, you consider it as a blessing to belong, to be with. This is my strength. This is my joy. This is my hope. This is my way to heaven. And that we should see it that way. So that coming to conferences, coming to household, coming to such gatherings, it's not a burden. But that you look forward because I am re-energized. I am recharged. I am reminded. I am brought more close to God. Yeah. And this is the spirituality that they develop, to see the bright side, to be more positive. And with all the positivities, they don't see and they're not focused, they're not fixed on what is lacking, but that they are grateful for whatever blessings they receive. And they continued on. They walked blamelessly, never abandoned God, but all the more they brought close, they brought themselves more close to God. Yeah. So, this is Elizabeth, that even in marriage, they see it, that marriage, they grow spiritually. And now let us look at Zechariah. Lessons from Zechariah. It's all about your heart. As a Christian man, a husband, you want the godliness to be the foremost quality of your life. He is a priest, and therefore he should be holy. So Zechariah is a man of God. Okay? And, yeah. The adjective that's given to him is that he has a blameless heart. Blameless heart. And when you look at that, he is not a person who would blame. Blameless nga eh. So, hindi siya yung blame ng blame. What is it? Complain ng complain. Okay? He didn't like complain. Oh, with sentiments, he could question the Lord. Lord, why? Why aren't you giving us a blessing of a child? But that we see in his life, he questions, but it's faith that triumphed in his life. He questioned with faith. He approached life with faith, and that makes all else different when you have faith. And that's what Filipinos are. Look, after a tragedy, there will be an interview of the news. And what would be the words that you would hear? Nagpapasalamat po kami sa Diyos at ligtas po kami. Nagpapasalamat pero nasunugan na. Nagpapasalamat pero na landslide na. Nagpapasalamat because that person knows how to look at things with such brightness. But that light is coming not just from themselves, but it comes from God. That is why during Undoy, Yolanda, you see, after the tragedy, there's a beautiful picture. They're processing the Black Nazarene and the images that they recovered or iningatan. Well, I realized when we were children, there's a fire in our neighborhood. Okay, and it's so near that in our room, I could feel the heat. And my mom, she put the image of the Fatima near the window. And I was like, Mama, masusunod. Iwan mo dyan. Okay? That's faith. Because what happened was a miracle. The wind changed direction and it did not come to our house. But Mama Mary was all black. Already black. And we're still holding that image so beautifully because we believe with faith she protected us. And that's someone with faith, because one with faith can see things in a different way. One with faith can see and be able to discern the plan of God. One is not just focused on the misfortunes, but that person is invited to see that there's more. There's more to life. In the technical term, it's going beyond the prima facie, the first glance, that surface. It's going deeper. In philosophy, it's what Gabriel Marcel said, second reflection. You don't just reflect once, but you try to go deeper because you will draw more meaning when you see it in a different way. And this is Zechariah, blameless, because he don't only see the surface, but that he goes beyond what is happening and be able to discern. How is he able to discern? Because he has a good relationship with God. Good relationship with God. Yeah. A mother was like, a wife went to a parish priest and said, Father, nagtatampo na ako sa Diyos. I've been praying for my husband. He's a seaman. For him to be able to board a ship and go and work. But up to now, he's still waiting. We are in dire need of money to pay for our debts. And the priest was like, alam mo, huwag ka masyadong maangal. Baka may plano si Lord. Baka pagka sumakay yan, baka katagpo niya yung magiging kerida. Magpapalit sa'yo. Baka pinoprotektahan ka lang ni Lord para buo pa rin ang pamilya mo. And I was like, ganun ba yun? Palay mo! Okay. Minsan ganun eh. Yeah, we see a misfortune, but the plan of God is never to bring us to misfortune. The plan of God is always to bring us to the good pasture where we can be fed, nourished. When there's always goodness, the intent is always goodness and never to harm. So even like a failure, it is something beautiful too. Because the Lord allows it. Because it will teach something, a beautiful lesson for us. Because He is a true parent. And if we say that He is a true parent, He won't give something bad to your children. Like, Ma, can you give me 1,000? No, you're not capable. You're not responsible yet. Okay? So hindi siya bigay luho. No! He is a true parent and He will tell you, I'll give you what you need. I'll give you what you need. And so this is Zechariah. And then the other thing is that he is so committed with the marriage vows, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. He did not abandon Elizabeth. As I explained to you, with all the rights he can, but he did not, because his love is pure, not what he can get, but what he can give. And he wants to give the best. Nowadays, you interview couple, I don't know if I already told this in my talk, but something that they will always say, oh, why do you think you're meant for each other? And they say, well, Father, because we're so compatible. Compatible? What do you mean with compatibility? We have the same likes, we have the same adventure, we go to the same, we like the same things, we have same habits, we grew up together practically, so we know each other. But the descriptions were pointing to likes, hobbies, what attracted them, what bind them, because they have the sameness, the likeness, and they call it compatibility. Because we're extroverts, because we're outgoing, because we love to go to this, we are adventurous. Oh, you're compatible. Wow. If you try to look deeper on what compatibility is, the Latin word will shock you, because compatibility, it came from two Latin words, cum partire. Cum, together, partire is to suffer. So to be compatible is to suffer together. That's compatibility. It tells you, because when you describe it, you're only saying the good things, the enjoyable things, the happy moments, the adventures, the height, the ups. But true compatibility is when you are able to endure and suffer together. Together. For better, for worse. in richer for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. Yeah. So you said, you asked, compatible ba tayo? Sa dami ng pinagdaanan natin, di wag mo nang questionin. Compatible tayo. And that's Zechariah. He saw that compatibility with Elizabeth. Elizabeth suffered the more, but he did not abandon her wife. She became the strength, the protector, the shield. He did not disown, but all the more he cherished Elizabeth, proclaiming and telling the world nothing can decrease my love for my wife. I love her, and she is a respectable and righteous man. If you honor me, then you ought to honor my wife. And he was, and became the strength, the shield, the protector, the life of Elizabeth. Compatible. But they were also compatible with God. Because God showed them His face. He did not abandon them. All the more they were graced. They were blessed. They were given a purpose, a mission. They became a parent to Mary. That is why when Mary heard, or her nanay-nanayan is pregnant, the action is in haste. In haste, she went because she is not just an acquaintance. She is my mother. She went in haste and served her mother. And that's a beautiful relationship. Childless? No. They did not live a childless life. They were fruitful. They were productive. They have many. That's one of the reasons why my dad doesn't want me to become a priest. I realize, ako lang yung iniisip. Eh, paano ka? Sinong mag-aalaga sa'yo? Who will take care of you when you grow old? You won't have anyone. You'll be alone. I don't want you to be alone. If you have a family, if you have children, that's security. They will take care of you. And I said, Dad, mag-alala. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. For now, because you're young. But when you grow old, when we're gone, what will happen to you? You'll be at peace, Dad. The Lord will not abandon me. And another thing he said, but I want many grandchildren. You're only 3. Then my brother is not yet married. And I said, don't worry, Dad. If you give to God, God is generous. He will give it to you. He can be outdone in generosity. And look at the blessing. My brother got married. My sister got married. And now we have 10 nephews and nieces. And I was like, look, Dad, how God provides. Alam mo, nag-pressure yung kuya mo kasi wala kang anak. Siguro kung hindi ka nagpare, nagmeno-meno pa yan. My brother, 9 kids. 9 kids. Baog na baog, ano? Baog na baog, you know? And my sister, she has 1. Okay, that completes 10. But looking forward to more. Okay? But that's blessing. Let's see how God provides. If you will only see and look and try to look at it in a different perspective, not what is lacking or taken away, but that God has a purpose, He will bring it back to you. God can't be outdone in generosity. Yeah, and that is reflected in the life of Zechariah and Elizabeth. So they were there for better, for worse. They were righteous from the beginning until the end. They were consistent. And they remained faithful to God. They're not any other couple who would turn their back simply because the Lord did not give it to us. We were no longer served because the Lord did not grant our petitions. But they remained firm. They remained what? Trusting. They remain what? committed. Committed. And they're committed to prayer. And what a beautiful way, because they are praying for each other. How will they know what to pray for each other? Because they know how to dialogue, they know how to open themselves, so they know. And that's what we need to do. You don't just keep it to yourself, but you have to tell, because you are one. Pray for me. I have this intention, pray for me. I love how Marvin and Joy would call each other heart. 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 Because that's heart. You're my heart. And you're my heart. Ikaw ang puso ko. Ikaw ang tibok ng buhay ko. Ikaw ang nagbibigay buhay sa akin. You're my heart. Okay? Ano kaya yung asawa mo sa'yo? You're my stomach. But yeah, when you know each other's needs, and you ought to be open because you ought to pray for each other. When I'm in the States, one winter time, nakisabay ako sa tito-tita ko. They're going to work. I'll be left alone in the house, so I might as well go out and go to the city. So sabay po ako, take me to the Patre, New Jersey, going to New York. So while they were nagpapainit ng kotse, warming the engine, okay, my tita would pick a small Bible from the pocket of the car and open and read a little verse. And that little verse would be the word to live by for the day. And they will close it, and my tita will begin, Lord, take care of brother husband. Take good care of him. He has a client, very hard client. Protect him. Surround him with your love. And afterwards, the brother husband, they call each other brother husband, sister wife. Lord, take care of my sister wife. Bless her. She's a nurse. Shield her from all contamination, from all illness. Such a beautiful prayer. I would want to cry when I was at the back. Because it's so sincere. And how they would not waste time. Mindful of God's presence. Mindful that they need God. And that God is priority. That is why He's never like, wala kami oras magdasal eh. Meron. Seize the moment. And it's such a beautiful way to pray for each other. That's how committed they are. Until now, they do it. Yeah, and it could change us, changing relationship. They're more close to each other. So, pray for each other. And when you pray for each other, dialogue. Heart, anong gusto mong ipagdasal ko para sa iyo? Yeah, and being more sensitive, you also know what to pray for him, for her. And that is why this is something beautiful, because you're not two, you're one. You're one. You're one. And you're one. Commitment. Yeah, commitment. Do you want to be a more caring and loving husband? Then your first assignment is to determine. You have to know what is the number one burden, the number one challenge, the number one heartache your wife is dealing with, your husband is dealing with. Then faithfully pray for him, pray for her. Yeah, because you have a prayer warrior, an intercessor for each other. I told you, I called, Mama, pagdasal mo ko, comprehensive exam ko. It will be hard because it's in Italian. Okay, so I'll pray for you. What time is your exam? It will begin at 9. And you're like 6 hours ahead. So try to see. My mom went into Adoration Chapel. And my sister phoned me, Kuya, di pa ba tapos yan? Kanina pa, nagkakape na ako. Kasi mami, nasa Adoration Chapel pa. Mothers. Yeah, because you know that you have someone praying for you. You're accompanied. And that's who we are. That's how we grow. When we are there for each other, so committed, not just in praying, but all the more in loving. And so I would always say, when you love, do not over-pursue. Because that's our fault. when we presume what? Why should I say, I love you, I love you? Alam naman ang mahal ko siya. 20 years, 25 years, hindi pa ba yung love? Ngayon, hindi na kailangan marinig. I don't need to tell, I don't need to say. Hug pa. Alam na niya yun. Hindi pa ba sapat kung nagluto ko ng masarap, maayos ang damit, malinis ang bahay? That's love. Yeah, I got you. But know what? It needs to be heard. It needs to be expressed. It needs to be seen, to be felt. You don't just presume, he knows it, she knows it. Alam na niya yun. No, do not. But learn to be more expressive. I'm looking at my watch. What's my timer? Am I crossing? Mukha. But anyway, help me with the timing. So give me a sign whether we should already be taking a break. I feel like we should be taking a break. But let me end with this particular sharing. You know, I went to the seminary and then I realized on Sundays parents would come, family would come, and before going home, they have rituals of goodbye. Just like us, we kiss and hug and say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. First station. And then second station out here. Second station. Goodbye, goodbye. Third station. Okay? Fourth station. Okay? Hanggang nasa car na eh. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. We have rituals of goodbye. So the seminarians and their families would have their own rituals of goodbye. And I was so observant. They were kissing. I can hear words, I love you, take care po. I could see huggings. We don't do that. We don't kiss, we don't hug, we don't say I love you. But we just love each other. We love, but we're not that expressive. But nakakaingit, I get jealous. No, why can they do that? And I can't, and I've been wanting to because it feels so good, it feels okay. So one Sunday, when they came, I kissed my mom and told her, love you po, ingat kayo. She looked at me strangely and asked, kailangan mo ba ng pera? And I said, yeah. So I got an extra 500. It did me good. Okay? The following Sunday came, I did it again. Okay, there were goosebumps, but I did it again. My dad was like looking what's happening. It could be the seminary changing me. No, why not? The third Sunday, I did it again. Now I hug my dad. Ingat po kayo with a tap on the shoulder. And I did it. Oops, I did it again. No, I did it. And it became what? It became part of our rituals of goodbye. So whenever I would come home, there will be kisses and huggings. Whenever I would go back to the seminary, there will be kisses and huggings. And there will be messages of I love you, take care po, mahal po kita. Yeah. And we don't get goosebumps because it becomes part of our ritual, part of our family tradition. And it's seen by my nephews and nieces. That is why they were expressive too. So we kiss, we hug, we say, I love you. So when we attend Mass, we kiss. And that's something normal. And it became normal. Yeah. So you want something to change. You want something to happen. Commit. Commit yourself. Yes, you'll get goosebumps and you'll question, why am I doing this? But continue on. Commit yourself until it becomes part of you, part of the family. And later you will see it becomes natural and even spontaneous. And that's something beautiful. Yeah, so think of something that you want to begin with and offer it to God. But one thing is needed, commitment. Commit yourself. So, wrapping it up, they were already contented. So we don't have a child. We move on. We live our life. We're okay. We're okay. They're at peace. Their neighbors were already at peace. At peace. They were already resigned. They don't have a child. But look how they live their life. Surpassing the bad, the evil, the ugly that happened. When they were already resigned and living a peaceful life, and now one day, Angel Gabriel went to Zechariah and told him, the Lord heard your prayer, and your wife, Elizabeth, will beget a child. That is why it's not a joke. When that was, are you serious? My wife is 80 plus, and you're telling me she will be having a child? Yeah, it's not lacking in faith, but it's a question of faith. It was like, oh, how can it be? Because humanly speaking, wala pa akong nakita 80 plus na buntis. How can she beget a child? That's why it's a big question mark. And of course, the angel felt offended, slighted, because you did not believe, and because of that, you will get death. Hindi na nakapagsalita, yeah. But, and then, going back, nabuntis. It happened. The miracle happened. The impossible became a possibility. And that should be a reason to rejoice. But what happened? In the Bible it says, when the pregnancy was obvious, Elizabeth remained inside. Why? Because he'll be the talk of the town again. Lola, buntis, headline. Pagka nakita, ang sagwa. Kadiri. No, ang sagwa. When that should be a reason to be joyful and to proclaim that it is something good, then you are trying to hide because it will become what? The talk of the town, a disgrace again. Hindi ko din natanong, Lord, pinaglalaruan mo ba kami? Lord, ano ba talaga kami? Lord, di mo na kami tinigilan. Lord, iba naman. Lord, move on eh. Lord, sawa na kami sa ganitong buhay na lagi na lang kahihiyan ang hinaharap. But it's I speaking on behalf of them, because those words did not come out from their mouth. Because in the Bible it says that Elizabeth glorified the Lord, that this is the time that He took the shame away from me, and still seeing the bright light, and still seeing the good that's happening. It's me who questioned God, pinaglalaroan mo ba sila? Kalaro-laro ba ang buhay nila? But never Elizabeth and Zechariah. When God did that this is the right time for us to be blessed and be given a child, to raise a child, then so be it. Completely trusting. Proven when he was baptized, because they have the very right to name the child, and the child's name should be Zechariah after the father. But no, even that, they realized he's not ours. He's not ours. He belongs to God. And so he will be named, whatever he wants him to be named, he will be named John. The graciousness of God. And so we see here something beautiful. Discernment. When we discern, we open ourselves to God. When we discern, we don't insist what I want, but we entrust ourselves to the complete plan and timing of God. God listens, and God will give it to you, because God has a better, the best plan for your family and for the entire family. Allow yourself to be instruments to be used by God. And there you'll see such a beautiful life indeed. And they were blessed as a couple. And this boy grew up how God wants him to be. And they became instruments because they formed him. You, my child, shall be called the prophet of the Most High. For you will go before the Lord to prepare his way. You will be the forerunner. You will prepare the coming of the Messiah. And he grew up. He didn't end up in destitute because he was living in the desert wearing sackcloth, wearing what had camel's hair, eating what locust, honey, whatever is there. He did not end up in destitute but chose to. Mind you, he's an only heir. And an only heir to a very rich, prominent parents, Elizabeth and Zechariah. But all of that, because he was taught, he was formed of who he will be according to God's ways. And even that, he knows how to deny himself, let go himself, forgo of wealth, and chose God. And God became their only wealth, their only good. And therefore, that's something beautiful, the life of Zechariah and Elizabeth. Amen.